giving out instructions. Yeah. I just keep it intact, this is a fact, right and exact, I won't step back. Admiration is the feeling that inspires your brain to make you gain self-knowledge, not go insane.
I don't know how I got here. I just know I'm never going back. Just when I thought things were already crazy, it gets worse.
I'm back.
Quan?
Sapphire struggles to deal with her husband's alleged betrayal and coming to terms with Quan being alive after thinking he was deceased. Devante tries to keep a level head while dealing with family issues and unexpected disloyalty. Memories of Dre enters Devante's life in a way that he would have never imagined.
Fire Part 2, the finale.
Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
Peace. This is the Enemy's Public. I am Bro.Nasir. I hope everyone's enjoying their evening, or their afternoon, rather. I have a question. I know we are Aboriginal, indigenous to this land. Yet I have a question. Are we FBA or MAGA? With the language some of our people are using, we're using the terminology that Fox News would use, that the neoconservatives would use. Salute to my brother Big Mouthpiece, Hurricane JW, Live and Learn, Keith Lamont. Salute to the gods. Thank you all for joining me this afternoon. Now, we're going to start with amnesia, which is a partial or total loss of memory. I would like to use the word ignorant, yet the word contradicts itself. Synonyms for the term turning a blind eye. It includes overlooking, ignoring, disregarding, and neglecting. Now, the word ignoring is the key word to ignorance, which by definition means lack of knowledge, information, understanding, or education about something, essentially being unaware or uninformed, not necessarily unintelligent. My sentiment is either you know or you don't know. Based on the word ignore, I would think that you are ignoring the fact that you know. Ranting and ignore are two keywords to one word. Now, to ignore or to rant is to speak out or shout at length in an impassionate way. Ignore is to refuse to take notice or acknowledge something intentionally. That's what you do to ignore. to refuse to take notice of something or acknowledge it intentionally. Now, why am I saying this? Because my people are ranting, refusing to take notice or acknowledge what's going on around us. Or some of us suffering from amnesia, a partial loss or total loss of memory? I think a little bit both. Because I've heard some of our people use Fox News, white supremacist talking points, using words like our government, our federal agents, and even our president, actually siding for the most part with corrupt police, corrupt politicians, corrupt law enforcement. With the history that our people have with law enforcement, I don't see how any of us can side with them. Now, we can't, 3-card Monty is one thing. 2-card Monty be a little easier. But if we lose with 1-card Monty, you only got 1 card and you can't win with 1-card Monty, and you don't see that your ass is being cheated, you are ignoring the fact that you are being cheated. We are so fixated on immigrants that we are not watching anything else. We're not watching nothing else. The tethers among us, I agree that they need to go. Those who undermine us and come and align themselves with those who are against us, we should delineate and have nothing to do with them and don't put ourselves on the line for what's going on. But I just read and heard on news reports that most people who are detained in ICE facilities have no criminal history. Now, as much I want to delineate from the tethers, I can't rock with somebody being detained or locked up if they didn't commit a crime. I can't rock with that, especially with what my people go through with false charges being put on us. I can't become what I despise. I can't do that. I don't like it when it happened to my people, so why would I be celebratory when it happened to other people? But delineation is in effect. I wouldn't tell my people to get involved, because when we go through what we go through, nobody gets involved on our behalf. We have no friends. We have to turn to each other. But I ask my people, do we think that, are we confusing that we being from the soil, the land, the original Americans, are we confusing that with the establishment, the system that was established for other than us? Some of our people, for some frozen of a reason, think that the system was established for us and on our behalf. I don't see that. I've never seen that in all of my days. And I don't think this system was established for us to be equal with them. And I don't think they see that way of us being equal to them. They're not no one to be equal to in the first place. They're not. They're no one to be equal to. Because if you look at our history and you look at their history, it's like putting a clean glass next to a dirty glass. And we are the clean glass. For the most part, we more than likely are the cleanest glass on earth. Us. When we invent, we invent essentially things we can use. It's always an essential invention. We're innovative, we're creative, and we're industrial. We're all of these things that consist of building a nation. But the bad part is we've done all these things for everybody besides ourselves. Now, I have a musical presentation. I'm going to play music, and then I'm going to get into my video presentation. All community music. And stick around. I have a pretty good presentation showing that we have no friends. There's no alliance. So we need to close the rank and file amongst our own people and look to each other and not fall for the hocus pocus. I have a saying, we must remain focused and not fall for the hocus pocus. Now we're going to start with my brother Dre Cobbs, Boom Shot.
Just by the look in their eyes, yeah. You know I bring it. I change me into a better me. To my memory. Cause I know you gon' remember me. Oh, cause you know I'm ever busy. All the Chicago, friends that I lost to somehow. I'm thinking about time cause I know it's all tomorrow. Yeah, what's in the world? Peace and blessings from the ancestors. We get the message and I ain't wasting the second. Learning every day and I ain't wasting a lesson. Put this in the essence. Can you feel my presence? Couldn't be between two eyes. Does it do for you? Hope you're better now. I'll be better soon. Hope you're better soon. Better now. My influence has been shipping up. Back in the nerve. Can you feel it inside? Could it be between belief and one be captain from the truth? The first I do get from relief is no tenderness you. You run to when there's nowhere left to hide. Can you feel my breath? Can you feel it inside? Could it be between the truth and lie? What does it do for you? Hope you're better now, better. I'll be better soon, better. Hope you're better soon, better soon, better.
Now we're going to go to my brother Voodoo Child. Way too far. Way too far. Because hip hop has gone way too far. Salute to my brother Voodoo Child.
The fuck is you listening with these grams, man? I know it's a cap. All of my bitch with the face club, yeah. You taking no jab. I think it's the shoes. All in your head like a nap. In the scene with you, 2, 2, 3, yeah. And the job. No games, man. No time for this shit. I be the one to play, so please, you make me chick. Hit the clock like a march on, like a parade. Truck sound, you ducking and hiding, you're gonna cover your face. Used to be so hard. Now you just dropping fancy cars. Hoes used to be hoes, but now they stars. Man, I swear this shit done went way too far. 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 Niggas still get it, niggas. Nigga, hoes still fucking with niggas, stuck racing that shit. Blood is still feeling digits, trying to catch them in fear. I know a bunch of people who never know how to best. Way up the leg, crazy colors in the air. I'm with the rapping shit, having niggas in what fit. This boy going back, but I was telling you some of the things bouncing in my head. Hip hop used to be so hard. Dressing funny, driving fancy cars. Hoes used to be hard, but now they stop. Man, I swear this shit went way too far. 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 Y'all got a whole nigga singing and sweating in the room trying to get this shit. Way too far. I'm gonna get a great spot.
We got coming Taha's to Genius freestyle.
Yeah. Genius. Look. Nigga with attitude is back. Sweating 100 with an attitude to match. Happy birthday, funeral, eulogy and raps. Got niggas like damn, it's sad the way he had to do the track. Look, everything I touch, I send a body. Shout out to the young G's coming up behind me. The young me did a bid, paid the debt to society. Bunch of niggas slammed, but a couple things stopped me. And my niggas still clutching in that lobby. Hustling and pack while you puffing on that lobby. Muscle in the back if you suckers wanna try me. Decided to see the strap turn into a fucking homie. And I know this kid is still trying to lie me. So I guess I got melt niggas like the Johnny. When I drop, they gon' shut niggas, that's for mommies. Flex hit his verse, I guarantee he gon' bomb me. Cause they never seen a flow like this, like gel food. Bet you I'ma blow up quick. I'ma keep shooting even if I throw up bricks. Cause eventually it's gonna be a show enough switch. I'm a G and I ain't never have to throw up shit. Where I'm from, my young boys gotta grow up quick. Got the game on lock since I stole up six. Just no tie gon' shine like a glow up stick. Man. But first I gotta tie up all these loose ends. Hard time showed me on my true friends. I've been seeing life through a new lens. Just know my motivation is the new pen. I thought that she can hang, but that new pins. I'm rolling with the gang, ranks of cute friends. But don't you get no funny ideas, cause my cousin side Miv always walk around with two friends. I call them shit T and Tamara. Empty the whole clip and screen up the barrel. Then it's with gold tips, I'm playing my apparel. If you rich as a road trip, that's even if it's narrow. But I'm going right to the wheels fall. These niggas ain't thorough, they just feel hard. Me, I call the shots like the drill charge. The plug got locked, but I'm still charged. Quarterback in the back, I'm Cam Newton. Singing, I happen to rap, my swag is stupid. I've been doing this since I was a kid hooping. When you got it for this long, you can't lose it. When you got a team this strong, they can't move it. Nigga try to steal my style, but can't boost it. I'm just trying to feel my power, advance to it. It's just paper Prezi inside my clan to it. My clan to it. Just paper Prezi inside my clan to it. Big song, baby. Let's go. Look, and I don't give a damn if they shoot, cause they don't wanna see me when I start the plane in my group. These snakes creeping through my garden trying to land on my stoop, but they grass cut, and sugar said it's animal poop. While y'all was out getting hot, mixing clam with the goose. I was surfing at 35, mixing clam in the soup. I've been hanging in the trenches, I'm the man in the noose. If you a soldier, then why the fuck you abandon your troops? Niggas claiming they the rhythms while I judge them by their feelings. It's been a little minute, but you fucking with the illness. The upside is crazy. You can play the villain if I loosen up this tie, I'll be busting out this villain. But they don't even get it, shit went over their head. I'm feeling like a killer plus the close to the end. If you don't want to be the reason why they talk to the dead, let me eat, cause I'm the nigga that's supposed to get fed. When I still had a couple left, niggas still double check to watch niggas date just to see if they in trouble yet. Been away for 8 and niggas still ain't talking bubble yet. Guess they in the way my city waiting on another vet. And I don't mind being a savior. First I got the niggas to find, that's on my way up. My mother told me leave them alone cause they ain't worth it. But I told her mom, my mind's already made up. These niggas gotta feel it, yeah, I'm talking about my rap. Cause they been in my way like they was walking in my past. I hear these niggas talking about they talking out they ass. When niggas talking about how that shit resulting in a blast. When I get off my shit, my niggas gotta love it. My city been going in and I'm a product of it. And after this, I better be the topic of discussion. The truth is you ain't gonna find a higher subject. I need that type of paper that the scholar touching. That type of dough when you get it, you ain't got a budget. I need that type of paper that the scholar's touching. That type of dough when you get it, you ain't got a budget. Has
Mayday, the greatest of all rhymes.
I'm calibrated, heavyweight darts in my gloves, punchlines and perpetual educating the thugs. Blueprint is the bars, the architect, brawl. Every verse at your chin, the uppercut make you tall before you fall. Feel like discipline, body shot to the fake. They swing wild, I counter with the truth and they break. Mic drop shit, wisdom in the throwback frame. Old school hardware, still giving you game. I don't yell, I just calculate the damage. One bar just connect your whole for advantage. Clockwork cadence, every word is exact. I punch holes, then beat with a vicious attack. Rumble in the booth, every verse is the round. Whack MCs that punched out when they get down. I rope it up a clown. 3-piece and they down. Left hook, head shook. That's one in the books. I move real strategic, no emotional rage. You can never get the crowd. I'm controlling the stage. History in my knuckles, stamina in my fight. One hitter, quitter, rhyme spitter. Every hook airtight. Don't blink, you must have listened. Snap back. Now you forced to listen. Lyrical fist fed with verbal precision. The greatest of all rhymes and mechanical vision. It's the
I'm feeling that. I'll always be the best. Cannot move. It's impossible for me to move. I'm with everybody who stands in my way. Because I'm still the best.
Salute to my brother Garrison. Thanks for tapping in. Next is Laugh Now, Cry Later, Chris Cyphers, Dre Cobbs, Dangerous.
This that Nickelodeon, Mary Jane and opium, fresh from the FedEx chest, we got a load of them. Yeah, tear this shit down like depression. The moral of the story is you get the lesson. I'm older than the weather and Nova Scotia. The flow is full of turn that you just like the lane do. Hit the shoulder, these niggas swinging that Chris Rock when I picture older. My intention was ill will. When I rap, get a feel. I can meditate and stay connected to the earth like a mill drill. They taught you to lie to your kids with Santa. I person the AI now, we got the answer. Don't kill yourself trying to be me with the Santa. My ego love getting you blown like a glamour. I'm biased to the low comprehension, cause people play hope to get a mention. And we don't want to hear that. I didn't do better. That's if you knew better. But I don't want to call y'all. Back to regular schedule show grabbing, second possession. Yeah. To the upper echelon of Megatrons. And it's dangerous. Laugh, cry later. Can that fly shit you talk manifest when you falling from the skyscraper? A headshot could be a mind changer. I'm just a nigga that could hustle the hustle, getting my side paper. You know it's over when the nine spray you. Oh, we robbing everything that you got. Man, I operate his personality, just like your chain and got figure. But the bullets like the ice in your drink, they shot you. Talking, you going in places these cops take this. Prison is a mental time chambers. Procrastination is a disease for time takers. When it's war, they can never be law for line makers. Tuck your head, be stupid and cross and die. Player got the full fit, waving you down like high hater. When it's all leave, you can let the sky take it, cause you thought shit was sweet. Laugh now, cry later.
Y'all know what it's scary out here, man. No fucking pressure. Network shit. This shit real, man. Ain't nothing real shit over here, nigga. Precise just gave y'all the dome shot. Dangerous niggas that fight bad. So I'm back again. We gon' have to buy you then. Yeah, these niggas done. We gon' have your whole crew on the run. This ain't the same. You can't fight. We ain't the same. You niggas just like the cat fade. Before you make the soul glow. Silence love on the end of the gun. Where the smoke blow. I need a heat check. Living from the loco. Smoking back. You can smell my mojo. Fucking with Drake Cobbs. That's a no-no. It's that big three. Boss Ron and Keyway. Looking to let the heat spray. Pull up to your block like a ski day. We ain't playing nigga, this day. We like wolves when the niggas see prey. Moves like Neo when the niggas see straight. I take you to the competition. Tell them deuces nigga on the replay. Cheater, pass you. I chuck the deuces on the replay. We got this, man. Chris Cyphers. Dangerous. Drake Cobbs, man. Network shit. Ain't nothing real shit over here, man. Nothing real. You already know. Y'all know how we get down, Joe. Network shit.
Next, we got Satan's antagonists and mayhem, the YNs. Salute, greetings to the sister Shawanda Williams.
Call for retaliation. The number one. When it comes to my people, I'm never hesitant. Speak my piece and give them a piece of information. To avoid a confrontation, that's the foundation. But here's another kind of piece. They clutching in the dark, all you do is aim and fire, and the subject is deceased, leaving a bloody mark. Frustration is the feeling, the city is real, and you abstract way, so you think you were chilling, thinking you were peeling, but who were you killing with that reckless abandon? Your own brother caused the pain of his mother left stranded. I call you ignorant because you willfully ignore the fact that ones you're eliminating are all black with sense in it. I'm black, the heart is under siege, eliminating your feeling the pledge of allegiance. Beating in the fucked up place, calling me on the toe, pushing my lose the case, what's the consequence? Bro, brothers in the grave and you're in a jail cell, reality starts to burn. Days of mayhem and nights are hell, nowhere left. Used to walk the streets with a swag and now you walk the block. No more respect, just a steady tick-tock of the clock. No female in sight, they toss you the wigs to wear mockery in the air and they grease you when no one there's a violation beyond compare. When you walk through the pod, you see things you never saw before. Your toe soft, you trying to be an outlaw, knocking at his door, the street credibility, that foolish pride you chase. Now it's survival of the fittest, every moment misplaced. We talk about the system, the bias, the institutional flaws, but we gotta address the internal damage, breaking all our laws. Black on black, the heart is under siege, eliminating all the feeling, the pledge of allegiance. All beating in the fucked up. In the undertow, cause you about to lose the case, watch the consequence. Bro, brothers in the grave and you're in the jail cell, reality starts to burn. Mayhem and nights are hell, nowhere left.
Think about the future you destroyed for a minute of heat. Now you trading concrete jungles for concrete sheets. Locked down, looking through bars, witnessing the decline. All because you couldn't see the bigger picture, couldn't read the signs. Self-destruction is a weapon more potent than any. Now we gotta educate the youth, gotta draw the battle line. We gotta educate the youth, gotta draw the battle line. Ignorant elimination, it's like a lot of pain. We gotta stop the rain, gotta rise above the stain. Live the love, live the unity, we need it now, from before we lose the whole. Represent the power for real change.
Next up is Huey King, Mama Crying. This song did over 1 million views on YouTube, Spotify, and other platforms. Did over 1 million views. Huey King, Mama Crying.
I think you heard me. People keep talking, I'm taking my son. Pull around, hop up the road. Just to be at the bus stop in the club. This is my story from we was feeling out here. We would try by the head of signs, cause I know food up in my belly. I remember days my stomach growling. I just had to see my mama crying. No, I'm not giving up, I'm really trying. Keep my head on the swivel, cause I know a lot of people out here dying. We was really out here wilding. We would try by the head of signs, cause I know food up in my belly. I remember days my stomach growling. I just had to see my mama crying. No, I'm not giving up, I'm really trying. Keep my head on the swivel, cause I know a lot of people out here dying. I walked in the car, so the cover cases had a fight. You couple of cops put the drugs in the bushes so they don't find it. Person had a shame on me every other week it was a right. We come to that jail cell when I wasn't even on the diet. This is real life, it ain't nothing real. See that car crash, I was. Yes, God told me that it wasn't time. I'm just really looking at the bigger picture. Hell no, it wasn't a couple of family members been there since we had a family together. Last time was when my granny passed away. That's what it takes for us to get together. And I gotta say on my toe. People keep talking, I'm taking my soul. Put it back out the door. Used to be at the bus stop in the toe. I'm just saying, keep it on me. This is my story from we was feeling out here. By the head of signs. I said, no food up in my belly. I remember days my stomach growling. I just had to see my mama crying. Now I give it up, I'm really trying. Keep my head on the swivel, cause I know a lot of people out here dying. We was really out here wilding. By the head of signs. I said, no food up in my belly. I remember days my stomach growling. I just had to see my mama crying. Now I give it up, I'm really trying. Keep my head on the swivel, cause I know a lot of people out here dying.
That was Huey King. Now I'm going to get into the video presentation. I keep trying to tell our people that we need to close the ranks because we have no allies. We have people who are willing to align themselves with us, but they are not comrades of ours. They don't share our common goal, and they'll come here and they will actually form a camaraderie with those who they perceive as winning. And we need to understand that. Now, I'm going to show some of this so-called alliance that people have with us. It's always tethering, them aligning themselves with us to see what they can get from us. That's been an order of the day. If it's the Johnny come lately tether or it's the original tether. The original tether are the men and women who are lining up, rounding up, detaining, and deporting the Johnny come lately tethers that look like us. But people like Donald Trump and the men he hired to do that, they are the original tethers. And we cannot fall for the hocus pocus. We have to remain focused.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rizono Live, where we share real stories and real voices. Here, truth hits different because some stories simply cannot be ignored. Today, we're diving into a disturbing case that exposes exactly how dangerous racism can be when it hides behind a badge. This story focuses on a former police chief from Miami, Raimundo Atesiano. This man was trusted to protect a community, yet used his position to target innocent Black people for crimes they never committed. Atesiano was sentenced to federal prison after ordering his officers to arrest any Black person they saw walking in the area and pin an unsolved crime on them. Yes, you heard that correctly. The chief of police instructed his officers to randomly arrest Black people for walking while Black. He later went on to claim to have reduced crime in the area. Take a look.
We have a 100% clearance rate on burglary cases in the village of Biscayne Park. This is the first time that I've ever known that to happen in any department.
But just a few years later, news reporters were telling a totally different story from what he bragged about.
In a small town, a small suburb, Biscayne Park is accused of telling his officers to arrest random Black people in order to just boost stats. And this is from one of the officers in the report. Anthony De La Torre says they were told, if they have burglaries that are open cases that are not solved yet, if you see anybody Black walking through our streets and they have somewhat of a record, arrest them so we can pin them for all the burglaries. And he's not the only officer. 4 officers, which comes up to a third of the small force, told an outside investigator they were under marching orders to file these bogus charges to improve the department's crime stats. The police chief in question, Raimundo Atesiano, denies all these allegations. But I want to tell you this, during his 2-year tenure, 29 of 30 burglary cases were solved. And the year after he left, the force didn't solve any, not one, the year after he left.
And this is important because anytime some says they were the victim of racism, people ask, did he or she say anything about your race? But this case shows exactly why that logic is dangerous. A racist person can smile, shake hands, rise through the ranks, and never say a word about race while carrying deep racial prejudice. He didn't magically become racist the moment he became chief. He carried those beliefs the entire time, but he would not have made it so far up the ranks if he had been saying racist things out loud all along. Just imagine how many lives he quietly damaged when he was still a patrol officer. Then imagine how many Black people cried racism and were dismissed simply because he never said anything racist out loud, even though his actions were driven by race the entire time. When Atesiano took over as police chief in Biscayne Park, several innocent Black people were swept into his scheme. One victim was just 16 years old when he was falsely arrested and charged with multiple burglaries. He had nothing.
I was talking, pardon the technical difficulty, but I was saying something, that was pertinent. You see how this police chief, this Hispanic police chief, will align himself with people with like a Dwayne Wade, smiling, cheesing with him smiling. All the while, he has disdain and hatred for our people, but he'll be seen aligned with our people. That's what I'm trying to tell our people. And alignment is only mean to be seen with us, not necessarily rocking with us. See, Dwayne Wade he fits a certain tax bracket, and he's a entertainer because sports is entertainment also. He's an entertainer, so he'll be seen with someone like him. But the brother on the street, he has disdain for, and more than likely he has disdain for Dwayne Wade also, because he's only with him because he's the Dwayne Wade, either he was the former NBA star, period.
Nothing to do with. Another man was wrongfully arrested, wrongfully convicted, and deported to his home country.
Peace to my brother, Big Dog Philly OJ. You see, he said he was detained and deported to his home country. You have Hispanics that will go around with ICE snatching their own people up. I hear people with foreign sounding voices working as ICE. And I see all kinds of nationalities working for ICE. And I have to tell our people, I have to say this, because the reason why they wear masks is because all of them are not certified, trained, went through the academy, graduated. They're not legitimate law enforcement. There's no way all of those officers were trained to go out and do the job. They're given sign-on bonuses. Anyone who are willing to go out and do it will get paid to do it. It's like putting a sign up saying wanted dead or alive to certain people, and they're going out and snatching any and everybody up. It's like bounties put on people. A lot of these guys are not trained officers. A lot of them are not even law enforcement, which is why they wear the mask, and a lot of them are being caught off duty and dealt with because of what they're doing while they're with the marauders.
All because the chief decided his skin color was a crime. The truth came out when several officers wrote letters to the village manager, exposing the illegal orders they had been pressured to follow. In 2018, Atesiano pleaded guilty to violating the civil rights of innocent people and was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison. So
that's all he get for violating the rights of people. 3 years in prison for trumping up charges on people and changing the lives of people, our people, my people, forever. He was targeting our people. And this happens a lot in California. And we're going to get to that. This happens a lot. It happened a whole lot with Alex Villanueva when he was sheriff in LA County, California.
the next time you dismiss a claim of racism because the accused didn't say anything about race, remember this case. None of these officers wrote in their reports that they arrested them.
To American isness, a lot of those ICE agents, some of them are criminals. They can't get the job legally. But who we're dealing with, like a Donald Trump, he don't give a damn as long as you go out and do the job. But he will throw you on the under the bus if you get caught. He'll say that he don't even know you if you get caught out there doing something illegal. A lot of them are criminals, and a lot of them are too old to be doing the job.
Because they're black. They didn't tell these innocent people that they were being charged because of their skin color. But their skin color was exactly the reason. This is why listening to people's lived experiences matters. This is why racial profiling is not just a claim, but a reality. And this is why Rizono Live exists, to shine a light on the stories that were never supposed to be told.
I'm not saying ICE was targeting us. I'm saying what ICE, I'm saying the criteria that they're using to hire people as ICE. I'm not saying they're targeting us. I'm saying a lot of them are just people who they hired on the spot, didn't train, just sent them out there to do the job because they were willing to do it. A regular old lynch mob, a modern day lynch mob that will go out and just do the job. Don't get trained. If they have a gun, a lot of these guys are actual criminals. That's why They don't know municipal law. They don't know penal code in the cities because they really don't belong in the damn cities. Right is right, is wrong is wrong. I'm not so fixated on what they're doing to the tethers that I'm not looking at what they're doing. I scour the area when I go to it, see what's going on, what's there, and who's there. Just because I'm delineating from the tethers, that don't mean I'm going to ignore the bullshit that the already corrupt police department and federal agents are doing. They're already corrupt. We're going to go to the next video.
LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva has been named in a new lawsuit against the department.
He's being accused of civil rights violations and retaliation.
Now, Alex Villanueva had a actual Hispanic gang in LA that were targeting our people. A gang. See, what I'm trying to show our people is the police departments were already corrupt prior to what they're doing now. And the only difference is they're not necessarily the police departments, they just as corrupt, but they just added on to the corruption by putting federal agents involved in it. All of this is, to me, is just a theater, and we can't be so fixated on others that we don't pay attention to what's going on, because these people haven't changed their sentiment towards us, but their focal point are just on other people. And I'm gonna say this also: an ICE agent did kill a brother New Year's Eve in LA. An ICE agent shot him and killed him. I'm not saying that he was targeted, but I'm going to tell you, these ICE agents they're corrupt. All of them corrupt. All levels of law enforcement is corrupt. All of them, from the executive branch all the way to the one they just hired yesterday or today.
Retaliation. KCAL9's Joy Benedict has more details.
It is another lawsuit with strong allegations against the LA County Sheriff's Office and naming specifically Sheriff Alex Villanueva. And this
Peace. Salute to Sharon Walker, to my brother Casino. Peace. Milestone thoughts. Peace, my brother. Peace, my sister.
time, the plaintiff, a lieutenant in the department.
This has happened over and over again, and nobody was holding the sheriff accountable for his conduct.
Attorney Vincent Miller filed the paperwork in LA County Superior Court on Monday, saying his client, Lieutenant Joseph Garrido, had his civil rights violated and was retaliated against for being a whistleblower.
And he had his latest promotion reversed. It was taken away from him by Sheriff Villanueva. Then they subjected him to a fake criminal investigation.
Garrido is a 31-year veteran of the department, working in the Special Enforcement Bureau, overseeing the K-9 department.
This is what happened to the brother Chris Dorner in LA. Chris Dorner reported his partner, the one he was riding with, he reported his partner for being abusive to detainees and violate the rights of people. And because he did that, they retaliated against him and they ruined that brother's life, took everything from him. That's why he went ballistic and did what he did in California. Start going after people and popping them. That's why he did that, because of what they did to him. He was no criminal. He reported an officer he was riding with for violating people's rights, and they retaliated against him under Alex Villanueva.
His attorney says in the fall of 2020, a department dog named Spike died in a hot car. He wanted an investigation, and the incident was swept under the rug.
In the sheriff's department, they completely covered up the death of Spike. This is a painful death of overheating in a car.
You know, American isness, I strongly, wholeheartedly agree with what you put in the chat. Even though they killed one of them, they do treat us a lot worse. They do. We can comply and still die. We can be unarmed and still die. I've seen Caucasian people stab cops, shoot at cops. I've seen them stab them in the neck, shoot at them, and standoffs. And they go in and they get them and they bring them to jail unscathed, without a mark on them after injuring a cop. Yet us, we could be unarmed, complying. And what's crazy about that, we'll have some of our people, if a brother or sister do have a gun, they'll say, well, he did or she did have a gun. Having a gun is not illegal. It's not illegal. So because one of us have a gun, we get guns drawn on us and we get shot. Just because one of us have a gun, it don't make us a criminal. It's just a brother or a sister who own or have a gun. We can own guns too. We can go get gun permits too, which I don't believe in gun permits. I just believe that it's your right. He got one, I should be able to have one. It's like buying a damn loaf of bread.
And he's not just a dog. Spike is a cop, helping find evidence and take the bad guys to jail.
The lawsuit also claims the sheriff and his inner circle retaliated against Garrido for supporting an opponent of the sheriff during the election.
The sheriff, of course, retaliated against my client simply because he was exercising his free speech rights because he gave money to a rival candidate for sheriff. That's illegal to retaliate against someone for exercising their free speech right.
Garrido is currently out on leave, as his attorney says he is no longer.
A officer donated to a rival candidate who was running for the office of sheriff. Now, he retaliated because he found out that someone under his command donated to somebody else who was running for that office. Meanwhile, he had gangs and everything under his watch and in his chain of command. He had a Hispanic gang, and they were targeting us. They even had matching tattoos. They were called the executioners. They had matching tattoos, but he denied that a gang existed under his rank and file. But it was confirmed.
Are able to work in this environment. They are seeking financial damages. But most importantly, Miller says there have been 24 similar claims filed against Sheriff Alex Villanueva, and his retaliation of employees must stop.
We've seen this over and over again with Sheriff Villanueva retaliating against whistleblowers.
The lawsuit was filed against Los Angeles County, the sheriff, and several members of the department. We did reach out to the LA County Sheriff's Department for a comment, but they say they do not speak on pending litigation. Joy Benedict, KCAL 9 News.
We're going to move on from there, go to the next video. We're going to stay consistent with the topic because we don't have friends besides each other. So we need to close the ranks.
Meanwhile, an ABC News investigation with our own stations is shedding a light on racial disparities in police departments across the country. It found compared to the communities they're policing, and the diversity in police departments may play a role in arrest trends. An ABC investigation found that in 2019, in metro areas where just 10% of police officers were people of color, Black people were 5 times more likely to be arrested as white people. But in
I'm not going to suggest by any means that more Black cops will make things better for us, because sometimes the cops do exactly what Ice Cube said: slam you down to the roof, to the rooftop or the street top black police showing out for the white cop. You can have a black cop from the suburbs, straight nerd all his life, but he'll try to prove to that white cop that he's street. He'll try to prove to him that he's a thug and that he's streets and that he knows the hood. He'll try to prove that to white cops. A lot of times you have a self-hating Negro who becomes a damn cop, who don't like his people. He'll get into it to abusive people, and regardless of what office our people have, if they are not going to affect positive change on behalf of our people and conduct business as usual, they are useless. If you are not useful, you are useless. So having cops in the rank and file, it don't mean that things gonna get better for us. Things have to change altogether as a police culture. The culture has to change in policing.
But in metro areas where at least half police officers were people of color, Black people were only twice as likely to be arrested as their white counterparts. Our Chief Justice.
Peace to my brother, Big Dog Philly OG. Congratulations on your very lopsided, as far as I'm concerned, the very lopsided victory that you had yesterday evening. I mean, I don't see how what those who voted for Super, I don't see what they heard or saw in that debate. I think it was very lopsided, like Steve Urkel going against Mike Tyson. That's how I seen the debate. I don't see how anybody voted for him with the lack of information that he had against what you presented, bro.
Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas has more.
Let's go. On this April night in North Las Vegas, Andrea Hollingsworth, a Black woman who is deaf, displays her utter fear of police. As an officer approaches her on a Wednesday evening last month, she's nervous, agitated, and begins recording the encounter on Facebook Live. Her 11-year-old twins are watching from the back seat. Police are responding to a call about possible harassment. In a few seconds, the encounter starts to unravel. The officer pulls her out of the car.
Now, I don't understand how this female can harass anybody with sign language. I don't understand that. See, a lot of times people can be going through medical conditions and they would be arrested. A lady was having a stroke. She was arrested, put in a cell, and almost died because of their lack of compassion as public servants. I'm telling you, I could never side with them. The establishment, the law enforcement, I could never side with them because they are crooked. They are evil and they are crooked. I could never side with them. Never.
Ow, come on. Let's go. Hollingsworth, unable to read the officer's lips, is confused. Moments later, a scuffle ensues and ends up with Hollingsworth on the ground, handcuffed, her children screaming.
You see, they don't even care that the woman had children in the back seat. No compassion. They would traumatize the children. They would have the children, put the children in fear. They don't even care, especially when it's our children. Now, I watched the video where 2 cops arrested a off-duty Homeland Security agent who was driving drunk. He felt so entitled. There was a Haitian officer who was on the scene, and he asked the officer, "Are you Haitian?" Like he was going to do something to the cop because the cop was Haitian. They locked his ass up, and he's saying, "What about my children?" And my exact thoughts was, "What about our children?" They throw our children to the ground. I watched videos where they had little babies, 5 or 6 years old, laying on the ground next to their mother, traumatizing babies. So I don't give a damn about their children against my children or against our children.
She later tells a local Fox station,
"My kids are afraid because of all of the incidents that have been happening recently. And, you know, they're raised Black in this community. So when they see a police officer, they're also on high alert."
Don't tell her to put her hands behind her back.
Police issued a statement saying they take community complaints.
They're telling the children to tell her to put her hands behind her back in sign language because she can't hear them saying it. This is evil.
Seriously, and that in this case, the officer responded to a call about harassment and only briefly detained Hollingsworth after she did not comply with commands. The police noted that Hollingsworth indicated she was deaf, but police did not explain why they did not seek sign language services. In recent years, racially tinged police encounters have sparked tension in the Las Vegas region. In Las Vegas, people of color are the majority of the population, but are policed by majority white law enforcement agencies, a trend that is national, according to a new ABC News investigation.
What people have to recognize is that the institution of policing is inherently biased against people of color and low income. And it was designed to be that way. Okay? It's been that way for over 400 years.
According to an ABC News Washington Post poll,
it's so corrupt that we have to have brothers who are in law enforcement who love their people have to have separate organizations to protect themselves and our people. 100 Black men in law enforcement, they got organizations like that. The National Association of Black Law Enforcement. We have to have organizations like that to protect ourselves as law enforcement and to protect our people because law enforcement is so damn crooked.
Only 10% of Black people think that police treat Black and white people equally. And advocates say one of the reasons some African Americans are mistrustful of police stems from the fact that in many localities, the police forces don't reflect the diversity seen in the communities they serve.
Prior to becoming a police officer, I had some bad experiences with them. I was harassed on a couple occasions. My family were harassed on a couple occasions.
An ABC News investigation with our own stations found striking racial disparities in most metro areas around the country between the racial makeup of police officers, who are often overwhelmingly white, and the demographics of the communities they're supposed to serve and protect. In 99 of the nation's 100 largest metropolitan areas, the share of officers that are white is larger than the share of residents who are white. That's according to our investigation's detailed analysis of census data. And in 6 of those American cities and the surrounding metropolitan areas, including Pittsburgh, Knoxville, and Spokane, 9 out of every 10 police officers are white. Recruitment of minorities has become more of a priority for police departments in recent years. But a leading organization of Black law enforcement officers claims the efforts are falling short and in some cases are misdirected.
The research we've conducted, and we've done this both on a local level as well as nationally, gotten the same results. What we found is that they are not making any kind of substantial connections with the core constituencies in the community, NAACP, the Urban League, the Black and Latino churches.
The issue of diversity comes amid calls for police reform, where departments are under intense pressure like never before, facing a spate of explosive issues.
It feels like this is one of the most challenging times for police ever. Is that true?
Oh, I don't think there's any question that this past year has challenged police in ways that they never have. You know, from COVID-19 to the George Floyd tragedy, to the demonstrations that occurred. And then all of this time, violent crime has been spiking in ways we haven't seen in 10 and 20 years.
What about the violent crimes that the police commit? That is through the roof. And it's been through the roof before Trump got back in office. The police never got a handle on how they behave themselves out in public as so-called, I call them so-called public servants, because they don't serve us. None of these so-called agencies serve us. They're not public servants. From the executive branch all the way down to the police, they don't serve us. They serve themselves and their constituency. And if you are not wealthy, they're not even going to serve and protect you. They actually serve and protect property, because actually they don't have the duty. I know they are chest out and say we got a call and we want to keep people safe. That's not their duty. Their duty is to enforce policies, but they'll call themselves law enforcement, but they're more focused on policies and obedience and compliance to their unlawful orders. Then, because when people throw the law in their face, it can be their municipal penal code. They'll get highly upset because someone know the penal code. And 9 times out of 10, they don't even know the penal code in the municipality that they work in. They don't even know it. They don't know standard procedure. They don't know departmental policy. Most cops don't. And they don't even care to know, because they're out there to get compliance to them, not the law, obedience to them, not the law.
All across the country.
In the Minneapolis region where George Floyd was murdered by a white police officer, 88% of law enforcement officers are white, with minorities holding less than 12% of police jobs, even though people of color are 26% of the population. In Portland, Oregon, disparities are even more striking. People of color representing 28% of the population, with law enforcement 93% white. For example, Latinos are 12% of the region's population, with only 2% of the police force rosters. In San Jose, 36% of the community is Asian American, but only 10% of the police force are. Some cities have department rosters that more accurately reflect local racial demographics. Among them, New Orleans, Jackson, Mississippi, San Diego, Baltimore, Honolulu, and San Antonio. Ryan Tillman, a corporal with the Chino, California Police Department, says he sought a career as a police officer in part because he believes diversity can ease racial tensions.
And it also helps kind of de-escalate situations without even opening your mouth. Does it always work? No. But in my experience, I've seen that when you can relate to the people that you're serving, it helps our job tremendously.
Our thanks to Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas for that report.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget,
diversity don't make police departments better. Black cops on a police department don't make police departments. It don't make things better. It don't. Because a lot of times it goes back to what I was saying earlier. They will turn a blind eye to what's going on. It's been times where I've seen videos where mothers, innocent mothers, were being racially profiled and harassed by a white police officer. A black police officer would show up instead of intervening, which is in their departmental policy. If you see a cop harassing or acting unbecoming of an officer, it's their duty to intervene. They don't do that. You don't see them doing that. I've seen 3 cops do that in my whole life. 3 cops. All 3 were women. And they got smacked up by the male cop. All 3 were women. 2 were sisters, and 1 was a white woman cop that pulled her sergeant off somebody that he was about to mace. 1 was beating up a cop in Patterson, New Jersey, was beating up a brother, and the female cop pulled him off her and he turned around and beat her up, they fired her and took her pension for years. And she just got her pension after 15 years. She had to fight for her pension 15 years before she got it because she obeyed departmental policy and pulled the cop off the brother. Going to the next video. Indeed, Keith Lamont, the biggest gang, the biggest criminal in the United States.
I think there's a lot of people who say, yeah, I know the police are broken. Let's just enact the reforms that will fix it. But the question for me is, if the police are broken, when did they break?
No, the police are not broken. They've always been, the police have always been the way they are, because we have to understand the origin of police. And the key word to police is policy, not law. It's policy, not law. The origin of police is not nothing good.
What year in American history did the police break? It seems really trite to say if you don't study history, you're doomed to repeat it, but nothing illustrates that more than the history of policing.
Policing, in one form or another, has existed since colonial days, in the form of night watches, local sheriffs, and militias. But it wasn't until the 19th century that northern cities such as Boston created modern police departments as we would recognize them today. These northern departments were not the first example of a uniformed, publicly funded law enforcement institution in America.
By the time the northern colonies were afoot in the 17th century, the idea of keeping track of the most valuable asset in the United States, that is, enslaved Africans, animated much of what we recognize today as law enforcement.
In the 1700s, the South saw the rise of official, salaried slave patrols, whose task was to capture, control, and brutalize enslaved people.
The initial acts that empower slave patrols and militias were acts that basically empowered all white people to surveil and punish all black people.
These slave patrols were required to serve a tour of duty, usually up to a year. Individuals were compensated for their time, but they were also penalized if they did not show up for their required service.
All white people, including white children, were expected to enforce so-called slave codes. These laws were meant to prevent enslaved people from organizing or rebelling. It was against the law, for example.
I know a lot of us, we don't rock with this type of thing as far as slavery. But for some reason, white people feel like they can walk up to us and tell us what to do. They feel like that. And we got to constantly check them when they do that. I don't know what make them think they can walk up to us, get in our business, or think that they can tell us what to do. I got an answer to that. It's because they're crackers, which is not all white people. All white people are not crackers, but all crackers are white people. A cracker is a white person who think that we have our place in society. And if we don't comply with them, or if we get out of place, they attempt to crack the whip. Whether weaponize the police, which is the most thing they do, retaliate in the workplace, like they did with Kyrie Irving, like they did with Kanye West when they spoke out, especially Kyrie Irving. They tried to crack the whip because he spoke out. For the most part, when we speak out, they attempt to crack the whip, which is the origin of the term crackers. a white person who think we have our place. And if we get out of place in their sentiment, they attempt to crack the whip. Today's whip is actually the cell phone. They'll call the cops on you and lie. And if it wasn't cameras on cell phones, those cops would come and believe what the cracker said.
For enslaved people to leave their plantations, gather without a white person present, learn to read or write, or even defend themselves if attacked by a white person. After the Civil War, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution abolished slavery except as a punishment for a crime.
The South immediately moves to exploit this loophole by passing a series of crime bills known as Black Codes, which essentially criminalize all forms of Black freedom. They criminalize unemployment by adopting these very broad vagrancy laws that essentially criminalize any Black person who can't prove that they're working. Any African American who challenges.
Salute to my brother, Shank Rock. Thanks for joining, brother. Salute to you, my brother. I'm going to hit you on your email. I need to get with you about something, brother.
The terms of work, barters or brokers for a better deal, turns down a terrible offer, walks away from an abusive employer or a relationship with a landowner, by definition becomes a vagrant and by definition becomes a criminal. They could then be sold at sheriff's auction back to the very person who had just claimed that they were a criminal by virtue of not accepting a fair labor deal.
This practice of convict leasing earned enormous revenues for the states who lent out their prisoners, and huge profits for the companies using this prison labor in mining, railroads, and other industries.
This haven't changed. They do that to this day. You know, prisoners working on the highways, prisoners doing, you know, that hasn't changed since 1903. I mean, today is even worse because judges were actually sent to prison recently for sending children to jail. Children. You get in fight in school, or you don't go to class, or you're truant. They were sentencing children to jail, and the judges were getting kickbacks from the private prisons. See, again, I could never, ever side with the establishment because the establishment is wicked. But I will side with the people, in particular, my people.
The new laws effectively re-enslaved those who had just gained their freedom and required new police to take over the former duties of the slave patrols.
When you have Black people serving in political offices for the first time, when you have Black landowners in abundance, when you have Black professionals, there are Reconstruction era judges, the stakes are even higher for this everyday performance of Black subservience to white domination. It is the police who will ultimately serve that function of reminding Black people, in many cases, their lower status in society.
What we see is that general way of thinking about race and thinking about disorderly people never really changes. It's kind of woven into the DNA. But it's not just because individual police officers are racist. It's because the institution was literally created to make sure that wealthy and powerful people could extract labor.
Early police departments in the North had a similar goal to control labor and were notoriously corrupt.
The police functioned as an expression of political elites and powerful, affluent people.
Exactly, my brother, Keith Lamont. Biden did pardon those judges. And I was watching, you know, one of my favorite movies, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, cops actually have done that to people, to brothers. I was watching the movie Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. And cops have actually done that. They killed somebody and put it on the brother, and the brother ended up spending decades in prison before it was found that the brother had nothing to do with the murder. It's been so many brothers and sisters who have done decades in prison for a crime they didn't commit. Like George Stinney, the little boy, I think he was 12 years old, the youngest person ever put to death in United States, George Stinney. Little, he was like the size of Gary Coleman. So little that they had to put books under him for the electrodes to be put on his head to be electrocuted when he was executed. George Stinney, the police killed 2 white girls and threw them in a river. But they wanted the people to believe that, and they did believe it, that George Stinney, the size of Gary Coleman, took 2 girls that was bigger than him, raped them, and dragged both of them and threw them in the river. He was tried and convicted and sentenced to death. George Stinney. And you know, I don't understand why people could ever side with the establishment, not with the way they are. They can't be trusted.
People who essentially wanted poor people to stay in their segregated slum communities. Police often functioned as enforcers of political machines, functioned one step removed.
Peace to my brother T. Cortez. Thanks for joining, brother. Salute to you.
From gangs.
Police often worked in the service of business owners who were faced with growing unrest among their labor forces in the wake of mass European immigration and rapid industrialization.
One of the best examples of this is the Pennsylvania State Police. The institutions that precede the Pennsylvania State Police are actually private police forces which are owned by people who are running coal mines. And their job is explicitly to control the workers who are trying to unionize for rights.
The story of policing in the United States is the story of systems meant to protect and serve only a fraction of Americans. It is this history that many of today's activists point to when calling for the defunding or even the abolishment of police.
The cops not protecting us, we gotta protect us.
I really think it should start higher than that. I really think the police is useless because they don't enforce the law. So why should we have law enforcement? They're nothing but midnight marauders. We should just have a strong code of law, and anybody can enforce it. Anybody should be able to enforce the law, not have some clowns in uniform walking around with guns thinking they are the law and they don't enforce the law. We should have a code of law and anybody should be able to enforce it. The police is useless. The office of the President of the United States is useless. We should have ranked officers in Congress and the Senate. Speaker of the House should be the highest office. That's it. The president's office is useless. Useless.
The ability to police crime or inequality or poverty or races or whatever was the social problem to be solved by law enforcement was always an act of political power and discretion. And it just so happens that African Americans have stood in that position for the longest of any other population.
What the history does is it allows us to decouple the idea of public safety from the idea of police.
Now, Homeland Security, okay? The Department of Homeland Security are charged with securing the homeland. If you ask the average person, not the robots, not the constituency, if you ask the people they encounter, do they feel safe? Do they feel secured? The answer would be no. But they say they are securing and protecting and keeping the people safe. And they're not. The director of Homeland Security had the nerve to say that they're protecting exploited children from child abuse and abuse of children. Yet, the first order of business in my sentiment to protect the children would be to bring those to justice who were involved in the Epstein files, investigate that, and bring everybody to justice who was involved in that. But no, Donald Trump put people in place who's going to toe the line, who's going to do what he say. If they don't, it'll be a revolving door on that office. People will come in and people will go out. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. If Donald Trump get tried and convicted, indicted, he would not be in office. And I don't even believe if he was found guilty of every charge, I don't believe they are so crooked that he won't even go to prison for it, because for right now he belongs in prison. When he went to get sentenced for the 34 felonies he was convicted of, the judge postponed a sentence for 4 years when he should have been disqualified from running for being a damn felon. So that lets you know that the United States is under tyranny and lawlessness. And I don't understand how my people don't see it. I don't understand it.
What actually protects women from rape and from sexual assault, right? What actually stops people in communities, both black and white, from killing each other? What kinds of things actually help people who are mentally ill? Are those things police? And I think very quickly, once you reflect on that, you realize the answer is no.
Damn right. The police should not be responding to mental health calls or issues. People who have mental health issues, they have professionals to deal with that. See the police, they think because they go and get 6 months of training that they are professionals on all levels, when they're not even professionals or professional in their profession. They're not. They don't even know what they're doing as a police officer. Yet they are getting 6 months of training and going out and dealing with life and death situations when they don't even know their job. An elder last August, she was experiencing mental health issues in my city. The police showed up and killed her, shot an elder female, shot and killed her. And what's crazy is they didn't call anyone to deal with that elder's mental health issues. She was living in a senior building. So therefore, every senior buildings in my city have security and they have social workers. And the social workers know everybody's history in the building. So they knew she had mental issues, and they should have called someone to deal with that or called a family member to calm her down. They did none of that. They showed up. They lured her out. They lured her out her apartment. And when she came out, they were antagonizing her, knocking on her door. She was upset. But I know for certain if they had called one of her sons and had one of her sons show up, they would have calmed her down. And they could have took whatever precaution, whatever procedure that could have been done, could have been dealt with that way. But no, they antagonized her, they lured her out, they maced her, and they shot her dead in her hallway. And after that, dragged her 20 feet away from the apartment from her apartment, contaminating the damn scene.
We have to stop saying police are broken. We have to say police are working, and we need to create another institution to do public safety.
We're gonna move on from there. Now, LA police officers were recorded making racial
The LAPD
slurs.
under scrutiny this morning after a
Pardon me 1 second. Yeah, this next video is LA police officers recorded making racist and sexist comments.
complaint was filed accusing officers of making racist and other derogatory comments about their colleagues. The alleged remarks secretly recorded. KTLA's Annie Rose Ramos live in our newsroom with the details. Annie Rose, good morning.
Hey, Frank, good morning to you. Yeah, all of this according to an explosive LA Times investigation reporting a Los Angeles police officer working in the department's recruitment office recorded dozens and dozens of conversations for the better part of a year. These recordings revealing cops spewing racist, sexist, and homophobic comments. Now, all of this according to a complaint filed with the LAPD and reviewed by the LA Times, detailing roughly 90 recordings made inside the recruiting division, portraying officers and supervisors voicing open discrimination against potential recruits and colleagues based on race, sex, and sexual orientation. These are the same officers tasked with deciding who can join the LAPD. Now, in one conversation, take a look at this. A Latina LAPD officer offered this advice on how to fight African Americans, saying, quote, "You hit Black people in the liver. I heard they got weak livers," according to the complaint filed January 5th with the LAPD's Professional Standards Bureau and the Inspector General's office. The same officer allegedly describing a Latina janitor to her colleagues as, quote, wetback. But the complaint is accusing a Sergeant Denny Jong, of leading the pre-judicial banter. In one conversation with subordinates about Dodger baseball legend Fernando Valenzuela's death from septic shock, saying, quote, "I know why he died. He ate too many tacos." The complaint also claiming officers reportedly referred to Black people as monkeys. The complaining officer, a Latino with 10 years on the job, initially made his written accusations anonymously, but now is handing over dozens of hours of recordings that took place between March and October.
Salute, my brother, Nwinji Skates. Thanks for joining, my brother. Salute to you. Peace.
October of last year. When news of this complaint broke, Chief Jim McDonnell at the LAPD removed a lieutenant, a sergeant, and 4 officers from the unit, saying he was deeply disappointed by these reports. Now, a scandal in the LAPD's recruiting office couldn't come at a worse time. The LAPD is struggling to recruit new officers, with more than 100 cops expected to leave the force by next year, dropping the department to the lowest amount of officers it's seen in roughly 30 years. We at KTLA have reached out to the LAPD and the mayor's office about this case. We're waiting to hear back from both.
Gonna move on from this video. We're gonna go to San Francisco Police Department.
A veteran San Antonio police
Not San
officer
Antonio,
fired
sorry,
over
San
his treatment
Antonio,
of a criminal trespass suspect last summer.
Yeah, that San Antonio, Texas officer was fired over using a racial slur, vulgar language in an arrest that he made.
An officer caught on his own body-worn camera repeatedly using the N-word and other profanities during the arrest of a young Black man.
For what? For being.
The exchange between Officer Tim Garcia and the handcuffed suspect recorded by Garcia's own body camera. He and his partner called to River Center Mall last July to deal with Dwayne Robinson, who, according to mall security, was harassing and threatening mall customers. When Robinson later complained to internal,
They said they locked him up for being a nigga. That's what they said they locking him up for.
affairs about excessive use of force during the arrest, supervisors discovered the officer's unprofessional behavior. It's tonight's Defenders investigation.
What's going on?
Things start out calm when Officer Tim Garcia and his partner encountered Dwayne Robinson surrounded by mall security guards who had told him to leave.
They told me to walk off. I told them, all right, and I already been walked off. My question to you is, if they tell you to leave the mall, you gonna leave the mall? No, I didn't want to.
Garcia explains to Robinson why he needs to leave.
But if they tell you to leave and you don't leave, then you're breaking the law. That's when I get involved. We cool on that? Yeah.
Robinson begins to present his ID, but has one more question.
I didn't even did. Why y'all give me criminal trespass? What they can. What you mean? What you mean they can't? Sure. No, hold on. What you mean? No, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to ask you to do something. I'm going to tell you that I'm going to make you.
It was one question too many.
Stop tensing up.
There they go with the deals. That's what kills me with the deals. When they say, here's the deal, that don't sit right with me, because that what kills me is you can be out in public. Just say you're filming in a public area and they'll approach you knowing that you have the right to do that. Just to bother you, knowing that you have a right to film anything that your eyes can see, because they can't trespass the eyes. If you can look and see it, if you're in public, you can actually film it, regardless of how uncomfortable it make people. It's not against the law to do it. They'll still walk up to you and say, we got a call. If you got a call, you go to those who called you. That's it. Why can't police, when they answer these type of calls from the First Amendment auditors, people who are filming in public, why can't they just go to the people who are complaining and just say, well, we can't do nothing about that because the law says that we can't trespass people's eyes? It's like somebody telling you to stop looking at me. You can't tell somebody to stop looking at you because it's their eyes. You can't do that. You can't trespass the eyes. And anything that I can see in public, I can point my camera at it and film it all I want. But, but people, in particular, police, they get bent out of shape when you're filming them. And they need to be filmed to the point that they have body cameras on them. They need to be filmed. Can you imagine what would have happened? Rodney King, on top of getting his ass whooped, would have spent time in prison if it wasn't for that man just happened to be pointing his camera at those cops beating him. And today, as a matter of fact, the men were found not guilty the first time, and they had to tear LA up to get justice for the man. Had to tear the city up, pull people out of their cars or hit them with rocks, kick them in the face, and had to tear LA up in order to receive justice for something that we seen that happened. That happened. And that's crazy. And now they have body cameras on them, and they don't even care that they are being recorded, breaking the law and violating people's rights. They don't even care. Why? Why? Right after they did the body cameras, they said we got to create another loophole, and that was qualified immunity. To say that you are oblivious to the law as law enforcement. You say that you didn't know as law enforcement what the law was, so you get qualified immunity, but we can walk up into a courthouse and the judge would tell us as non-police officers, non-law enforcement, that oblivious to the law is no excuse. No, oblivious to the law should apply to cops, not citizens. Ignorance of the law, that is. Oblivious, ignorance of the law is no excuse. They tell us ignorance of the law is no excuse. That should apply to cops because they're the ones who should know the law. We should know the law to protect ourselves from them. But for them to have qualified immunity because they don't know the law is crazy.
Yes, sir. What? Now you're under arrest.
That's when things take a turn.
I listened to all your stupid for like 5 minutes. Man, we had a you know what's bull? The way you were raised. That's hella bull. The way you were raised is bull.
As Robinson complains about being arrested,
they're telling the man the way he was raised. Now he's saying derogatory things about the young man's mother and father. I'm arresting you for being a nigga. And now you're going to say what? Then you're going to talk about how the young man was raised when you don't even know him. See, that is a prejudice and that's racist.
Garcia escalates the situation.
And I'm trying to put my arm back. Trying to. And you over here doing my shit. Do I look like you? Say it right. Put an R at the end. If you're gonna say it, don't call me. I ain't your.
He's that racist. He said put a R at the end. Don't call me a nigga. You're gonna call me a nigga, put a R. Call me a nigger. If you're gonna say it, don't call me a nigga. I ain't your nigga. Nigger. It's what he wants.
For what? For being.
A month later, Robinson complained about the officer's use of force.
All right, sorry, bro. You good? Yeah, I'm good. Are you really good? Yeah, I'm good. We need to make sure you're good. I'm good, bro.
That kind of behavior is way out of line for the behavior I expect from anybody. That word is like nitroglycerin.
Chief William McManus says he watched the video in disbelief and later agreed with the review board that recommended Garcia be fired. However, when
that man got a lot of chevrons on his goddamn arm. Damn, how long he been on the force with all them damn chevrons?
Incident was first reviewed by Garcia's sergeant and 2 lieutenants in the chain of command. They only recommended a written reprimand. A deputy chief disagreed and sent the case to internal affairs.
Indefinitely suspending the officer was the only remedy to this particular situation.
Garcia defended his actions, saying he was...
No, he should have been fired for using that type of language, and that's unbecoming of an officer. And I'm sure it's going to escalate to him doing harm to somebody.
Just repeating words Robinson was saying, adding he did not use the N-word in a derogatory manner or in reference to anyone at the scene. He said he was frustrated and got caught up in the banter, admitting it was wrong.
That does not justify it or explain it away by any stretch. We will not tolerate any kind of racial or ethnic discrimination or defamation when it comes to those things. We're just not going to do it.
Hey, here, look, this is police. This is police telling you, how do you like that?
Now, the other officer seen in the video was talked to but was not formally disciplined. Garcia's attorney agreed to an interview, but
the other officer should have intervened and told him to chill, because that's departmental policy. When you see a fellow officer getting out of line, behaving unbecoming of an officer, it's your duty to intervene, but they never do. That's why you can't trust none of them.
But backed out at the last minute, sending a statement instead saying they disagree with the termination. Quote, the event that led to Officer Garcia's termination was incredibly unfortunate, but it was not a result of any intentional malice on his part. Officer Garcia takes full responsibility for his actions and openly admits he should be disciplined. Officer Garcia expresses regret and sincerely apologizes for his...
There goes the black and brown damn coalition. There it goes right there. Because so far, everybody I showed was, Hispanic. Hispanic. It's a difference between Hispanic and Latino. It's a difference.
Now, you can read that full statement right now on ksat.com. Chief McManus reached out to the local leadership of the NAACP when he learned about that video. He says he met with them and explained what happened. We'll hear from them tomorrow on the Night Beat.
Now we're going to go over to Minnesota and watch the theatrics, the theater.
Good afternoon. I'm Rochelle Bilal, the sheriff.
Now she's the sheriff, I believe, of Philadelphia County in Pennsylvania. And she's going to say that she's not going to tolerate nobody running around in her cities, in her county with masks. If you're law enforcement, show your face.
The city and county of Philadelphia. And I say her name, Renee Good. Renee Good.
What I don't like about this is you don't hear them say any of our names as law enforcement. They don't stand at the podium and express remorse when one of us are gunned down by the cops. And as a black woman, she should be ashamed of herself. She should be ashamed of herself because she won't even say it, say her name or his name to someone she could have potentially gave birth to. She's a black woman. She could have potentially gave birth to any of these black men and women who was killed by police or anybody else. But she won't say their name. That's a problem I have with that.
Renee Good. This should not have happened, but we're here today. Let know that law enforcement.
Peace to my brother P. Moses. Thanks for joining, my brother. Salute to you.
Real ones, not the fake made up ICE, probably Trump's new army to attack citizens of the United States. Did you hear what I said? No law enforcement professional wears a mask. None. Those that come into our communities wearing a mask to commit crime, thank God for our district attorney, Larry Krasner, who say he's going to lock them up. And I'm saying now, we are not going to whisk you away for them to hide your identity, because when you do it there, you're getting arrested there. No whisk away for them to hide you. None of that here. None of that here. Law enforcement professionals do not shoot at moving vehicles. I'm not saying fleeing, because she wasn't fleeing. She was getting out of the way. Law enforcement professionals do not stand in front of moving vehicles, invoking an action that is illegal.
That's what I was saying. That cop in Minnesota, he jumped in front of the vehicle, trying to impede her movement, which is against the law. Even as a cop. See, a lot of our people think that if a cop stop us and say, "What's your name?" you got to tell them. No, you don't. Not absent a crime. You don't have to ID yourself by ID card or stating your name absent a crime. If they had came up to her and said you're under arrest, that's different. But all they did was come up to that woman's car and pull on her door. And they impeded her movement. She turned the car to the right to try to get around them. He jumped in front of the vehicle, putting himself in danger. That's not her fault. That don't make her no domestic terrorist. It don't. Right is right and wrong is wrong, even if that's a white woman. That cop was wrong. That ICE agent was wrong for that, because he jumped in front of her vehicle.
It's illegal. No, we don't. And so we stand here today with all those who stand against the made-up, fake, what you can call ICE professional.
That's a good question, my brother. The Wingy Skates. That's what it's going to take. White people who are not racist step to white people who are racist. That's what it's going to take. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but that's what would take, to rid ourselves of that type of behavior.
Law enforcement, I don't call them none of that. I call them made up, fake, wannabe law enforcement. Because what they do is against not only legal law, but the moral law. So I'm with.
I don't know, my brother, old dude. Salute to you. Thanks for coming. By the way, salute to you. I don't know if they were interfering in their, the ICE agents' procedures, operations. All I know is they lie, and they'll say anything, and they'll make any excuse to get away with what they do. I don't trust them, and I'll never side with them, and I'll never believe what they say, because you can see something that's going on, and they'll try to convince you or convince us that we're not seeing what we see. A liar can never a liar can never get me to believe them. They have a history of lying, so therefore they're seen as lying, and it's seen as liars, so I'll never believe them. I don't know if they was interfering or not. I don't know. But I know those women could have been walking down the streets and they would lie and say they were interfering. How many times have people been locked up for standing across the street 25 feet away from police procedures and operations, standing across the street, and the cops will come across the street and tell them they're interfering? Nah, I don't rock with that. I don't know.
The DA, and we will work with them. If any of them want to come in this city and commit a crime, you will not be able to hide.
Salute to the brother. Salute to the God, DJ Cuddy. Salute.
Nobody will wish you off. You don't want this smoke, because we will bring it to you. And the fake, whatever they call them, because I can't say the name, but the criminal in the White House would not be able to keep you from going to jail. B'nai Good should be here today. And to her family.
It's a whole lot of people who should be here today. I don't like that they would get up there as law enforcement and say her name. But when it happened to us, they don't do this. I've never heard a police officer get up on a rostrum and say her name or say his name. That was us. I've seen judges come down off their bench, hug a convicted murderer for killing both of them, John, and giving her a damn Bible. I've seen that. I've seen bailiffs brush the hair of someone being tried for murder because she was a cop and crying, because the saddest thing in the world to see is white women crying. That's what some people's sentiment. Brushing her hair, and when she was convicted, very lenient on her when she went into a man's home and took his damn life, came down off the bench, hugged her. Who the hell hugs a convicted? You're supposed to be harsh to a convicted murderer. But that's the problem I have with some of our people. It's problematic.
Family, we are saying law enforcement professionals are not the ones here in this city that would do that. But here's the last thing that I would say. Law enforcement professionals around the country do their job. And we have been fighting for years to build that bridge between us and our communities. You have one negative nutcase that causes this problem, and now we all have to fight again to let people know law enforcement works with community.
I'm going to say this. I could have said all of this could have been nipped in the bud in Newark, New Jersey. It could have been nipped in the bud and settled, and a precedent could have been settled right then. If I'm a mayor of a city and I got a police department and someone's running around in my city and then come check with my chief, then come check with me as the mayor, and they're running around breaking the law, I don't care what agency it is. It would have been a showdown. Straight up. Lock them all up. They out there breaking the law, lock their ass up. Period. It would have been a damn showdown. It could have been nipped in the bud with Ras Baraka, but he didn't do nothing. He allowed them to take him into custody. But I would have told my police department to do your damn job. If they're breaking the law as law enforcement, lock them the hell up.
Communities, these crimes would not be down if we didn't have communities work with us. Thank you.
We're going to go to more theatrics. We're going to Minnesota now.
We collectively are going to do everything possible to get.
What I don't like about this also is what happened to that young lady. It happened 4 blocks from where, George Floyd was killed by one of these guys in blue. and nobody stood up and expressed anger about us witnessing a man with his knee on someone's neck, a cop, and nobody expressed outrage. But it's like see, I want to say this. All of them, I don't trust none of them. If they go to war with each other, we're supposed to watch it. We're not supposed to. We're not supposed to have a dog in the fight. If all these agencies go and it's a civil war between law enforcement, we're not supposed to choose no side. Why? Because they all target us. Why would we choose a side? They all target us. They all trump up charges on us. So if they go to war with each other, all law enforcement, from the executive all the way down to the police, the municipal, whatever snack of your preference, you should get it and watch it.
Get to the bottom of this, to get justice, and to make sure that there is an investigation that is conducted in full. But what we do know is that a 37-year-old woman is dead and that she was shot by ICE. We've dreaded this moment since the early stages of this ICE presence in Minneapolis. Not only is this a concern that we've had internally, we've been talking about it. They are not here to cause safety in this city. What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos.
It's about the optics. Donald Trump wants the appearance of being a dictator, and a king so bad that the optics look good to him. And because it's shown all over the world, I'll murder you if you are in a boat in international waters. And the optics of seeing federal agencies and troops all over the United States running down on people, that optics look good to him. It's all about the optics and how it looked to other people abroad. It's about that to him. He don't care. It's not about keeping these cities safe. He can give a damn about cities being safe. Ask the people, do they feel safe? Ask the people. The people don't feel safe.
On our streets, and in this case, quite literally killing people. So they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bullshit. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, getting killed. As soon as it happened and we learned of the incident, we had several priorities. The first, of course, was to get the victim to the hospital and to get care as soon as possible. To the family, I'm so deeply sorry.
Well, from what I've seen, the ICE agents wouldn't allow people to help the lady. Even a physician was there. Well, he said he was that anyway. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but he said he was a physician, and they told him to get back. They have EMS coming. EMS is not a physician. I mean, they do emergency service, but a physician was there, according to what I've seen on the video.
There's nothing that I can say right now that's going to make you or your relatives or the friends of the victim feel any better. There were, I believe, 2 Minneapolis police officers that responded and were in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. The second was to get ICE off of the scene. There were dozens, if not hundreds, of ICE and federal officers that were there at the time. Having them there was only causing more chaos. Having them there was only making a difficult situation even more problematic, and one that, yes, they created themselves. There's little I can say, again, that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some.
Now everybody else around the country is saying the same thing. That's what makes me say it's theatrics. You got other people saying, get the fuck out of here, get the fuck out of there. That's what makes me think it's theatrics. And I would never, because I see what's coming down the pike, because I've studied these people, and I would never cheer on tyranny. I would never cheer on tyranny. Troops, federal agents running around in your community is tyranny. Unless they have a warrant and they are actually doing what they said they're doing. To me, I know what I see. Nobody's going to tell me what I see. I see tyranny. I know tyranny when I see it. Whether everybody else optics is, that's on you if you don't see what I see. But I see tyranny.
Some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
I'm also not the type that, okay, because it's not happening to me, it's not tyranny. Because I'm dealing with the history of our people and these same people. They didn't change the way they are. I'm not so fixated on immigrants getting out of here that I'm not still watching these bastards. No. I scour an area when I go to an area. I'm not gonna be falling for, okay, they changed the way they are. No, because their focal point is somebody else now. While their focal point is somebody else, we should have preparedness. Preparedness. I'd rather have something and don't need it than to need something and don't have it. So if we prepare ourselves if something have it, if something don't happen, at least we prepared ourselves. Regardless, it goes back to saying, staying ready so you don't have to get ready.
People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave. It's on you to make sure that further damage, further loss of life and injury is not done. We're going to be working towards justice as quickly as we possibly can right now. And justice is what we've all got to get. Next, a message to our community. Look, we all know that the agenda of this Trump administration is to create chaos. Let us respond right now with our best versions of self. This is a moment where all of us in Minneapolis and beyond, we can rise to the occasion. We can show them who we are. We can show them the kind of courage, bravery, love, and compassion that makes Minneapolis, Minneapolis, and that makes America, America.
All the scammers in Minneapolis should be rounded up and taken out of here. All of them. All the scammers. All the criminals should be these immigrants. They should be rounded up and taken out of here. Those Somalians or whoever else is there in Minneapolis scamming the people for our tax dollars. See, they play on our heartstrings and say that they're scamming and taking our tax dollars. But these wicked people They're not going to take, okay, let's say they take the tax dollars from them. Are they going to allocate it to the people who need it? No, they're not. They're going to grease their own damn palms.
We are better than a bunch of ICE agents being deployed to cities around the country and ripping apart families and communities. We're better than that. And so we are going to meet that hate with love. We are going to meet that despair with hope. We are going.
See, now, a lot of times when you hear people talking like that, you know, it sounds good. It sounds good, you know, but it's a non-reality, especially when it comes to our people. Because in all actuality, it's impossible to love somebody who don't do nothing but show you hate. I just can't do that. I'm not going to give you love if you're showing me hate. Nah, that's not going to happen. You know, equal response. You're going to get an equal response. The same response. Now, if you want love, you better start doing some love. If not, you're not going to get love as a result of hate. That's just backwards to me.
Going to meet that injustice with constitutional justice ourselves. And we're going to make sure that in this very difficult moment, we do not take the bait that these ICE agents are trying to create and that the federal government, to be clear, wants. They want us to respond in a way that creates a military occupation in our city. They want an excuse to come in and show the kind of force that will create more chaos and more despair. Let's not let them. Let's rise to this occasion. Let's show them something far more beautiful than the kind of division that they're trying to stoke. Let's show them unity of purpose, of love.
Jacob Fry, he act like prior to Trump getting in the office, you know, like he created all the hate. No, this country was just as hateful prior to Trump than it is now, just as. So I don't understand why, you know, I don't like any politicians. I don't like politicians because they always play politics of the opposite party. And, you know, neither party is mine and neither party is good. None of these people are good people. Republicans or Democrats, they are not good people. Both of them is just as evil. It's just one will stab you in the chest and one will stab you in the back. You will see it coming with Republicans because they'll stab you in the chest. Republicans will stab you in the chest, but a Democrat will stab you in the back. But you are still stabbed. You can get stabbed in your heart from the back too. If a person know what they're doing, you're still stabbed in your heart if they stab you through your back, and you still can get killed from being stabbed. So it don't matter, but at least you can see it coming and defend yourself coming from Republicans. But I don't trust any politicians, left or right.
Love and the courage of our conviction. Our conviction, to be clear, is rock solid, and it is for our neighbors, all of our neighbors. It's for people who have lived here for 80 years. It is for new immigrants who have made this city a better place. That's the kind of love that we're going to show up with right now. If you're angry, I get it. I am too. If you're feeling that kind of despair, it's understandable. Let's show them who we can be. Let's show up with peace, to march, to protest, to hug one another, to love all the way with peace. Do not give them what they want.
I agree with peace with those who are peaceful. I agree with peace because they'll love They would love to send people in and just run around and slaughter just to show, especially the optics that would show that he's being this tyrant, dictator, king that will slaughter anybody, foreign or domestic. That would be the optics, and that will make people further fear him. And I agree. To be peaceful until somebody put their hands on you, then peace is out the damn door then.
Finally, we've got a lot of work that needs to happen right now to make sure that, first, of course, the scene was secured as much as possible, that we were able to get the victim, now deceased, to the hospital. We've got a lot of work to do in the coming days. I want to thank our city enterprise for the work that they have done, but more importantly, what they're about to do, because this is going to be heavy and our city has been through a lot. We also know that we're prepared to do.
I thank you all for joining me this evening. I appreciate it. And I want to thank you all for joining me. Before I go, we asked the question. I asked those who take our lineage and our what we're trying to do, accomplish as a people, are they serious about it, or is it a trend, or they just riding a wave to be a part of something? We have to be serious about what we're going to do and what our mission is. And anybody who come among us should be vetted to be sure, to be certain that they're trustworthy and they're serious about what we're trying to do as a people. Because some people, they think that they can just ride a wave. Any wave come through, they'll jump on it and see our lineage, whether we call ourselves Aboriginal or we call ourselves Indigenous, we call ourselves FBA, whatever it may be, there's a code. And if you're not on code, you can't represent us. You can't. And it's a lot of people running their mouths who causing confusion about what we need to do. I asked them, are you FBA or are you FBI? I'll let my girl tell it.
Black people are the foundation of Black America, of America, not Black America, but America. We are the foundation of America. We are the.
Pardon me. That's the question I ask.
Foundation of the culture in America.
Let me run it
we are
back.
The foundation of the. Black people are the foundation of Black America, of America, not Black America, but America. We are the foundation of America. We are the foundation of the culture in America. We are the foundation of the success of America. White supremacists, when they came over here trying to get colonies on their own, every single one of them failed.
They loud on the timeline, quiet in the street. Hashtag in the bio, a no show for the heat. Talking revolution from a social media post. Selling FBA for attention, that's the part that I wrote. Saying power to the people, but they power to the brand. Like, share and subscribe while you never lend a hand. Quoting Malcolm for the likes, Dr. Khaled for the views. But when it's time to get to work, they suddenly get confused. Mirror talks aloud, but it's lies when you speak. Echo chamber in your head, indoctrinating all your peeps. You pick apart a shadow, every flaw and repeat. Trying to outrun your thoughts, but they laced on your feet. Self-hate sells fast, it's a counterfeit crown. Heavy on your head when you already down. You learn pain, got a script and it wants you to play. Got you editing your lines, getting stuck in the way. You mainly know the history, but you never fed the black. Never stood up to the system, just a comment section talk. Culture in the costume, struggle as a prop. When you turn the cameras off, you ain't nothing but a op. If you screaming justice, your moves must agree. FBA ain't a trend, it's a lifelong decree. No filters on the truth, no clout in the cause. Just no real activism, don't need no applause. Do the work. If you see it need to be done, don't talk about who's not doing it. You see it? Why you not doing it? Are you FBA or FBI? Mayday TP Productions. Giving out instructions.
The only time the Europeans prospered over here is when Black people helped them. I want folks to understand that. That's very important to understand. They got us thinking that we were brought over here and we got saved from Africa, and we got to be thankful for the great industrial white people for helping us. Let's be very clear. When the Europeans got here, there were Black people already here.
Again, I want to thank everybody for coming through. Appreciate it very much. My brother, the Windy Skates, Big Dog Philly OG, Old Dude, P. Moses, Keith Lamont, T. Cortez, DJ Cuddy. Let me see, Shawanda Williams, American Isness. American Isness. Thank you for tapping in. Let me see who else we got here. Milestone Thoughts. Thank you all for tapping in. I appreciate it. Again, if you haven't gotten your copy of Fire Book 2, the finale, go to Amazon, get your copies of Fire, get your copies of Fire Book 2, the finale.
I don't know how I got here. I just know I'm never going back. Just when I thought things were already crazy, it gets worse.
I'm back.
Quan?
Sapphire struggles to deal with her husband's alleged betrayal and coming to terms with Quan being alive after thinking he was deceased. Devontae tries to keep a level head while dealing with family issues and unexpected disloyalty. Memories of Dre enters Devontae's life in a way that he would have never imagined.
Fire Part 2, the finale.
Peace to my brother, the last Don Dada. Thank you for tapping in. Salute to you. And if you haven't gotten your copy of Fire, get your copy of Fire, the first book. That was the second book. You won't know what's going on in the second book unless you purchase
Get
the
your
first
copy
book.
of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
Until next time, this is The Enemy's Public. I am Bro.Nasir. Like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. Peace.